Hey everybody, and we are back with another book review. So this book is called Stepsister, and this was not quite what I expected in a good way. Um, so I've been reading this one for like over a week just because I haven't really had a whole lot of time to get some reading in. But it took me a little while to get through it because I was so busy, not because it was bad. But the story is a twist on Cinderella story, as you can probably guess from the title, Stepsister. But in this one, it really focuses on one of the stepsisters who is named Isabel. In the other stepsister is named Octavia, who they call Tavi throughout the story, but basically giving them kind of more of a reason why they were so mean to Cinderella, or Ella as she's called. And really it kind of boils down to this whole concept of what it means to be ugly versus what it means to be beautiful, and the idea that men put these expectations on women, and women become very insecure about those expectations. And then what happens when they don't know how to really come out of those expectations? They start snapping and going off on other women who are able to kind of rise above the expectations that are placed on them. So it was a fun story. It was one of those where you read it and you're like, could totally see this being a TV series. Like real chill and real simple. I really liked that the main character, Isabel, that she was kind of more of a tomboy, and her mother really shoved the idea of you have to wear dresses and you have to be pretty all the time. And she's like, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to go out and play with the boys, and I want to fight with swords and all that stuff. So giving her kind of a little bit more. And then the other sister, Tavi, being a complete mathematician, really into science, constantly conducting experiments. And then the same thing, the mother is just like, no, you have to wear dresses and silk and all this stuff. It really just gave like a really fun twist on Cinderella. And I appreciated that, although it kept a lot of the original Grimm fairy tale. It kind of starts with the tail end of the original Grimm fairy tale, which is the stepsisters have cut either the heel or the toes off. So in this case, Isabel's the one that cuts the toes off. And just kind of how she now is going through life, and the whole town is like calling them names and saying, oh, you guys are terrible, to the person that's now the Queen of France. And it just gives it so much more. I would probably give this book a 3.5 out of 5. Partially because it was a little bit disjointed. There was a lot going on. So the reason that Isabel is able to kind of get life going and eventually find herself is because she is used as part of a wager between the Fates and a guy named Chance, who his whole goal is just to give people a chance. Get it? So it took me a second to get that. It's like totally obvious in the book, and I was like, why did they name him Chance? Oh, that makes sense now. But just this whole kind of wager thing between the two of them, it makes sense, but it doesn't. It just felt like an extra plot piece that I had to then remember. And then there's also all these other characters that never actually get a name, but they're just called the magician, the diva, the artist. They don't have any names. And it was, I'm sure, done intentionally, but it was just kind of weird because I'm like, okay, now I have to remember which one actually looks like what when they're describing them. And then, so there was that piece of it. And then there's like this whole kind of, it was almost like a high school kind of friendship camaraderie thing going on, but they're older than that. And it talks about the fact that they're older than that. Like they're in their 20s, very obviously. And so just kind of dealing with that, like following it through the story, it was a little rough for me. And then I also absolutely hated, so most books, you know, it's like chapter one, blah blah blah. So this book has chapters, but there are 100 and some odd chapters, and it's only like a 300-page book. Because there was a chapter like every 2 pages, which I was just like, for why? For why? There easily could have been like 20 some odd chapters, but basically every time the story had a break, where usually in most novels you get like that weird paragraph break where it's like, okay, now we're on to a different scene or something else is happening here. We've moved in time a little bit, or we've moved locations. Instead, it was a new chapter, and I just didn't like it. I did not like that piece of it. So yeah, that's really kind of my only negatives, is just writing style and being able to follow it. But I really do recommend this one, especially if you have older teens, like, you know, 14 and older. I think would do really well reading this book. So again, Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly. So there you have it. So that's all I have for this book review. Hopefully, now that all of the craziness of cheer season and basketball season is over, I'll have a little bit more time to read. But looking forward to jumping into some more books. My shout out to my my mentor group, which I know some of them follow me on here. We are reading the last book that I did a review on. We're all reading it together, so they're having fun with that, and I'm excited that they were like, hey, we want to read this book too, so that we can do it together. So looking forward to more time with them, and I will see you guys in the next review. Bye.